Hello, hello.
Hi.
Yes, we are officially at Friday.
Eve, Friday Junior.
Every time, we can't get it right. Hey, we are so thankful that you're joining us here today for KARE 11 News at Noon. We are covering several stories developing right now. First, the Hennepin County Jail just passed a deadline set by the DOC.
That's right. Jail officials had until right now to get the jail down to just 600 inmates. I'll take us through the current numbers, see what happens next.
But first, let's go ahead and take a look at the weather. I can feel it. You just opened that door. I was like, whew.
Yeah, it's kind of cool out there once again. And the big story today is going to be the low-hanging clouds and overcast. That'll be the case, honestly, through the rest of the day today. But we should see some gradual clearing tomorrow, Friday actual, not just Friday Eve. Here's your hour-by-hour forecast. Temperatures are in the mid-40s right now. You will warm a couple more degrees, but that cloud cover is rather thick. Regardless, we are not going to see any rainfall today through the weekend, so at least we have that going for us. Here's our radar satellite composite. You can see some partial clearing east of the Eau Claire area, and you can see it out towards the Dakotas as well. These clouds are going to linger for a good chunk of the state. One thing we need to happen to see some sunshine is we need that wind to pick up, but unfortunately that's not going to happen until at least Friday afternoon, maybe not even until Saturday. So slow clearing is expected tomorrow. It will be a bright, breezy, and balmy weekend ahead with temperatures warming well into the 50s, but not record-setting highs. Then a soaking rain is in the forecast for next Tuesday, followed by noticeably cooler temperatures. We might actually see some below average temperatures by the middle part of next week. That's something that really hasn't happened since the start of November. We'll have your full forecast coming up, Alexis.
All right, thank you, Ben. Hey, minutes ago, the Hennepin County Jail hit a deadline to cut down the number of inmates in its care. It's an order from the State Department of Corrections. Cece, where do the numbers stand at this point?
Yeah, as of right now, I'm actually looking at the Hennepin County Data's dashboard, and they say that there are 723 inmates at the jail right now, but the state is ordering the facility to reduce its capacity to 600. So the sheriff's office still needs to move over 120 people. But with so many inmates left to relocate, Sheriff Dewana Witt is requesting an extension from the Department of Corrections until December 5th. Right now, we're waiting to see if the state will extend that deadline or not. This demand to reduce the population comes after the Department of Corrections cited concerns about staffing levels and well-being checks. If those concerns aren't corrected, the DOC said jail conditions could create a, quote, risk of life-threatening harm or serious physical injuries to those incarcerated.
It's a big lift. We have some capacity at our adult correction facility to flex some of our population. Within county resources, we also have agreements with neighboring counties. I'm sure that we'll be able to meet the needs and comply with any of the orders.
But for now, it's still a slow go. Our Danny Spiewak is covering this story today. He'll have much more from the county coming up at 4 and 6.
Cece, thank you. And more than 4 years after the death of George Floyd, we're learning more about how the Minneapolis Police Department is reforming. Audrey Russo has a preview of what we can expect in a meeting tonight.
In about 6 hours, you'll have another chance to talk to Minneapolis city leaders about changes going on within the police department. The changes are part of a state decree that happened following the murder of George Floyd. This court-enforceable agreement between the city and the State Department of Human Rights was signed in March of last year with the goal of fixing human rights violations that investigators found in both the city and its police. Tonight's community meeting will talk about progress that's been made in this agreement so far. Two of the big focuses, reviewing the department's body camera policy and working through a backlog of uninvestigated complaints against police officers. Effective Law Enforcement for All, a police reform nonprofit, is mediating this process, and they say that getting community feedback early on is critical.
You need to hear from the police and the community about their needs, their concerns, because ultimately one day we'll be gone, and it will be up to the citizens of Minneapolis, the residents of Minneapolis, to ensure that these changes stick and meet the goals that were set out.
A similar agreement is pending on the national level as the Department of Justice found MPD violated federal law. Now here's why that decree is up in the air. Former President Donald Trump opposed federal consent decrees in his first term, calling them a war on police. Now, it's unclear if he'll pursue the federal decree in his second term, but both city and state leaders are promising reform regardless of who is in the White House. Now, tonight's community meeting on the state level decree is being held at 6 p.m. and it's going to be at North Community High School. In Minneapolis, Audrey Russo, KARE 11 News.
Well, turning now to our continued Decision 2024 coverage. With race results now certified, an official recount has been requested in Scott County. It's focused on the state house race. Incumbent Democrat Brad Tapke beat Republican Aaron Paul by 14 votes to represent Shakopee in the House. Paul has officially requested a recount that will start next Thursday. Experts say recounts don't tend to change the results.
When it gets down to that number, it is possible. It is possible, although very unlikely, that the outcome is going to change.
Well, there were a lot of questions about one precinct in Shakopee where 329 checked in to vote absentee, but officials only got 309 ballots back. Scott County says it's looking into it, but it's their job to certify the ballots they do get. And in Minneapolis, a city council member and his wife are facing major allegations connected to a nonprofit. Here's what we know.
I'm Jennifer Hoff. It's been nearly a week since the Attorney General announced he shut down a Minneapolis City Councilor's wife's food charity tied to Feeding Our Future. And the couple is yet to answer any questions about the nearly $500,000 they allegedly received in federal funding. Experts say it's unlikely that money will ever be recovered, given some of the violations in this case accuse Ilo Amba of poor record keeping and never filing taxes. And while she nor her husband, Councilor Jamal Osman, are facing any charges and really don't have to answer to anything, this saga isn't over yet. Several people who have been criminally charged in the Feeding Our Future case start to stand trial as early as February.
And developing right now, an antitrust case aimed at breaking up social media giant Meta is heading to trial. A federal judge has now denied Meta's request for a summary judgment in the government's monopoly case. The Federal Trade Commission alleges Facebook's parent company overpaid for Instagram in 2012 and WhatsApp in 2014 to stifle the competition. Meta argues it does face competition from apps like TikTok, X, and YouTube. In a statement released in the last 24 hours, Meta says evidence at trial will prove that buying Instagram and WhatsApp has benefited customers. Well, a satirical news site, The Onion, has just won the rights to Alex Jones' InfoWars. It was sold off as part of a defamation settlement after he falsely called the Sandy Hook Elementary School massacre a hoax. The Onion's bid was backed by the families of 8 of the Sandy Hook school shooting victims and 1 first responder. The Onion now owns the InfoWars website, customer list, social media accounts, and production equipment. Well, with the holidays almost here, the last thing you want to do is get sick, right? And that's why the doctors out there are urging people to get flu, COVID, and RSV vaccines. Right now in Wisconsin, data shows less than a quarter of residents have received a flu shot this year, and just 11% have gotten an updated COVID vaccine. The department says now is the time to get those shots if you haven't yet. And we're seeing similar numbers here in Minnesota. The health department says 13% of people in the state have received a flu shot this year, and a little less than 9% are up to date with their COVID vaccines. If you are a Minnesota sports fan, you will soon be able to watch some of your favorite teams on Amazon Prime. Diamond Sports Group, which broadcasts the Wolves, Wild, and Frost games on FanDuel Sports Network North, announced a multi-year deal with Prime Video. It gives Prime access to its 16 regional sports networks, and you can catch those games with an add-on subscription. Well, that news comes after another announcement from Diamond Sports Group offering fans single game pricing for NBA and NHL games. Starting December 5th, you can pay $6.99 to watch a single Wolves or Wild game without a monthly or annual subscription.